Hello, guys. Welcome to Trading with OC. Finally, I got my own show. No, just kidding. Guys, I mean, this is going to be the first start. I think this is going to be the introductory chapter. We're going to be following a couple of setups to start trying to learn trading. By the way, tomorrow it's going to be chapter number 1 when I show you how to set up your charts, right? So the first classes, we're going to be managing 30 minutes of learning, 30 minutes of straight setups to not only apply what we learned, but also have a recorded session of how to start jumping into trading. All right, so I think this is going to be how we handle stuff. Just so you know, we're starting what is it, 15 minutes before or earlier. That's because well, you just gotta love to fat fingers start, right? I don't know why this thing changed. I still have a lot to tweak in here, but in the meantime, guys, let's enjoy and let's get started with some trading setups today, right? Let's do it. Let's get started with that. Again, tomorrow we're gonna be taking a look at how to get started with trading, and of course, we're going to be looking at more trade setups and how to follow up. So, Haley L, what is up? How is it going? So let's get started here. I know there's not, how many do we have? 13 views, nice. Trade Fly, what's up? Army Piper, Alexander G, Crypto Build, what's up? BC Port Corp, welcome. Crypto Build again, how are we doing? And Kaylee. So let's get started. All right, so first of all, let's get started with taking a look at Bitcoin, right? I'm going to be creating a new setup in here, so I think that's how we're going to be getting started today. So first of all, let's go with to set our listing here, and let's make a new list. So create a new list, and let's call it here Trading with OC. All right, so now that we have this, let's start adding a couple of things to this list. I think the first thing that we're going to be adding, it is going to be Bitcoin, but also I wanted to make sure that it is the Bitstamp one. I also want to add Binance because I do trade on Binance, and of course I want to add from my sources Bluffing. Because if you don't know, I am migrating to Bluffing for only trading. So let's get it going, guys. So let's get started with this ones, and then let's add a couple of indicators today, and let's see how we develop a couple of things and get started trading. So let's get going. BTC here, full chart, and the first thing. Oh, we already have a setup. That is pretty cool. All right. So the first thing I'm going to be doing here, and I don't know why this. Oh, I know why. We need to open up our layout. Have a layout, of course. Now we're talking. All right, so for that, a couple of difficulties here, but let's get going. Hey, username, Richard in the chat. What's up? Lunar Beaches Crypto. What's up, my man? J Violet. What is up? Welcome. Who else we got here? Los on Crypto. What's up? What is up, brother? Welcome. So the first thing that we have in here is just a plain old chart, right? And we have our first indicator, volume, here. And if you don't know, you cannot remove volume. Oh, you now can. Previously, you couldn't remove volume if you did not have any other indicator. So let's go first to our 4 hours, and let's add a couple of indicators in here. Into the invite-only scripts, I have a couple of indicators that I'm going to be using. And if you don't have them, don't worry. I'm also going to be adding a couple of new indicators and free indicators for you to follow along. So the first thing I want to do, it is create my Market Oracle Pro here. I'm going to add it. There we go. And then also I want to do my Market Dynamics Pro. Oh, we have Market Oscillator. So let's also go ahead and add it here. And finally, my Market Dynamics Pro. Let's add it one more time. There we go. So basically, we have the base set up at this point, and let's get started configuring our indicators. The first thing that I want to show you guys, it is that when we start trading, let's rely first on what we see and what we have, right? So when you get started, you're going to have both your trading view and your broker. So far, we're not going to be talking about brokers. We're going to have a class on brokers, but let's just concentrate on trading view at this time, right? Your left panel, I would say it's going to be your best friend, and then your indicators are going to be your next best friend. Why? Because I want to give you the heads up that what you have right up here, it is the most powerful and most beautiful machine that you have for trading. So let's try to use it, and let me show you how by using a couple of simple setups, we can basically get going and start trading right away. So let's do a quick setup just to get going in here. And what I'm going to be doing is just turning everything off, right? The next thing, it is zooming out. And I know we all love to have the big chunky candles like this, right? Filling up the space, because we can see where it started, where it ended, and all of the wicking action that happens, right? But I want you guys to forget that for a second and go back in time, right? Let's see what we have going on in here. And why am I zooming out that much? Because I want to see what is the structure, right? So basically, let's get started with what we have right here. We have, well, a range, right? If we can early identify a range, this is going to become just like cheating. Why? Because if we can define that we are in a range and then also set its boundaries, well, what is stopping us to short the top and buy the bottom, and rinse and repeat, maybe stopped out, re-entry, rinse and repeat, right? Until we start breaking out. Little quick tip here. When I'm trading ranges, and this is not financial advice, I try to define how that range plays out, and then I get two of my setups here. For example, a long position at the bottom, all right? And I always use my stop loss. And then a short position at the top. Oops, and then I need to change it, of course. Here we go. And I always, again, use my stop loss. The point of this, it is take the short, right? Close half of your short in here and open your long. Once you're back above in here, you still have your short going on. Therefore, whatever you took, which was 50%, you re-added in here while taking another 50% out of your longs, all right? We're going to be having a different class dedicated on how to trade a range, but here is kind of like at the base setup of what we're talking about or what we're trying to achieve, right? We want to achieve a state of not losing because, guys, apart from we don't trade the breakouts, we do take the retest, right? Another thing, it is the key of winning. If you don't know, the key of winning right now, right away, it is not losing. How do we achieve not losing? That's what we're going to be diving in trading with the OC throughout all of the chapters, right? And we're going to be dissecting it chapter by chapter based on our structure. In the ranging structure here, not losing, it's being achieved by hedging, all right? Again, this is not financial advice. This is one of many strategies that we could be applying. So how do I hedge? On your account, and when we visit the bluffing account far into the chapters, we're going to be looking on how to hedge. But at this point, just make sure that you know how to open up a short and how to open up a long and keep them both separately, right? One does not or should not be closing the next one. That means that whenever I take profits here, I can re-add them where? Well, back here for my long, right? So every time I trade down, I earn 50% of my trade. Every time I trade up, I earn 50% until I get stopped out on one of those trades, right? What's going to happen? That my long in trade is going to still be open, right? And I'm going to be able to ride it all the way up, of course, adjusting my entries and exits or even my stop loss. All right, so that is the basic on the range. Now that we know the range, let's go farther ahead and see what we're having. At this point, what I see, it is a Wyckoff rounded top. All right, so let me remind you what had happened before on rounded tops. Well, we have a perfect example right in here. How do you see a rounded top? Well, you first start seeing those highs, the next lows, the next high, next low, and then you start seeing that maybe your trend line does not quietly match what you're seeing, right? If you start taking these peaks for the next one, you'll see that we have a divergence on how we're creating this parabola, right? As you can see, we start kind of like a twisting and shifting with this parabola-like top rough tip, right? So this is a rounded top. How do you early identify it? Well, we have the Wyckoff scheme. By the way, guys, just take a note. A Wyckoff, it's something that we're going to be visiting and learning throughout these classes. But since it is an advance, we're going to be just taking them piece by piece, just like a big cake, right? You don't eat it all at once. Well, I don't recommend it. But you eat it piece by piece, all right? So let's do Wyckoff here, the Wyckoff method. And one of the best places that I like to learn from, it is the Binance Academy. Binance Academy, it is created for beginners, all right? But they do an amazing job of any advanced instructions or any advanced setups to make them easy, right? So let's just scroll down a little bit in here, and we're going to be looking at the first one, accumulation scheme, which, by the way, it is my favorite one. Then we're going to be going and looking at what seems to be, right, a rounded top, but as you can see, is being traded as a range and then breaking down here. So let's copy this. Let's paste it to our BTC setup, right? And you'll see that they pretty much look very, very alike. Let's see how they played out. Like, for example, this high could be either this one or even this other one. Well, this one matches this one, and this one matches this one. The range in which we could be just ranging up and down, it is undefined, right? As long as we start seeing that pattern playing out. So what could we be maybe concluding? Breakout, retest, and off we go until what? Until something differently happens, all right? So that's what I like to zoom out. At this point, let me add one more thing and let's jump right at the setups, right? So first, let's just put it right here, and then let's go to the next, to the previous Wyckoff accumulation scheme, right? So let me just right-click in here, copy image, and then let's just paste it in here, right? As you can see, they pretty much paired fantastically. You see how one was succeeded by the other one, right? And then they ended up playing out once again. Not to get things too complicated, I believe that the same thing we could be seeing here on this rounded top. Having said that, I believe that we could be having something like this to play it out. But let's not jump ahead of ourselves, all right? So now that I understand what I'm seeing, let's now zoom in and let's do some setups in here. All right. So right here, let's remember that the trend is our friend, all right? So let's get started with the most important lesson, guys. Lesson number one, not chapter one, but lesson number one. When you're trading, the trend is your friend. And I don't see many channels talking about this, and I started learn it kind of like a farther at the end of my career, right? Of my trading career, my trading journey. And well, how do you define how does the trend ends and how does the trend starts? Basically, that is based on a tool. Can you guys tell me right here in the side chat? Don't worry, I'm not gonna make you suffer. It is the trend line. And yes, well, now you said, of course it is, right? Well, then I bet that you were saying something like higher highs, higher lows, breakout retest, swift value pattern, I don't know, shoo-ba-doo-da-da, whatever, right? So things start getting complicated, there's no necessity for it, right? So let's just grab to my left in here. You'll see that in the second tool, I have my trend line. Also, if you click this little line, you'll see that we have a ton of tools, right? We're gonna be using them throughout our journey. So the next thing that I want to do, it is that acknowledging my trend. Guys, there is no the trend, all right? There is only trend per time frame, all right? Whether we can debate that either weekly or monthly are the trend because basically we're running out of information for Bitcoin, well then the point remains. If we would have more historical data, I bet that the next trend will be the yearly, right? So do not drown yourself kind of like knowing or trying to understand what is the trend or what is that trend, right? What it really matters, it is where you trade, in what time frame you trade, what asset you trade, its market structure, and finally, the trend of the market structure of the time frame that you trade. Don't worry, I'm gonna make it a little bit easier for you, right? The first thing that we did, it just was zooming out and understanding ranging and rounded top, right? Now we are on daily. I know by experience that I'm most profitable on the 4 hours. You'll have to experiment a little bit. And for that, I recommend paper trading. And by the way, if you want to get started with trading, we have a setup with bluffing. So you can right now kind of like go ahead right here, right below our video and click our bluffing account. And then you can get started with trading. You can claim a couple of prices when you deposit. So you can deposit, claim those prices and trade with those prices. So basically, you have nothing to lose. Just consider it when you start trading or trying to jumping into a real life scenario, right? But in the meantime, go ahead here and set up your trades. So the trend is my friend, right? So how do I draw a trend line? A trend line usually acts as a support or as a resistance. Quick caveat, everything, guys, is a support and everything is a resistance, right? The difference is like when we're talking about, for example, an order block, this is a set of support and resistances that have different power-ups, all right? So we're not going to be talking about those right now, but you need to understand at this point that every single different kind of support and resistance have its power-ups and also their drawdowns. For example, the order blocks, they appear based on where people are setting up their orders, open orders. So that means liquidity hunting, right? But also nobody's stopping me, right, to cancel that open order as long as it's not being taken. So as nobody can tell me what to do with my money, nobody can tell you what to do with your money. And if by any chance we all move with FOMO or food, which we mostly do, right? And I'm talking about all the traders in the world, that's where you start seeing those order blocks disappear and appear based on the sentiment on the traders. So quick tip there. I bet that you got a little bit of piece of information that you did not expect it right there, all right? So again, everything is support and everything is a resistance. So the trend is my friend. So how do I define a trend? Very easy. There's 3 things to a trend, right? Number 1, uptrend, which is lower or higher lows, right? And higher highs. There they goes the HH, right? Higher highs and higher lows for an uptrend, all right? So how do we measure that trend? Of course, with a trend line. Where do we measure that trend? Taking down the basis, all right? So there's two ways that you can set up those trends or calculate those trends. One of those is by measuring the wicks, right? The wicks, by the way, are these little sticks in here, or measuring the candle bodies, right? Basically where the thick part ends, right? So I like to do a combination of both and acknowledge that trading is not perfect, right? Despite we like to play with geometry and mathematics, we need to understand at the end of it all, this is people buying and selling, and 90% of the traders are sentimental traders. I put the blame on myself that I am a sentimental trader, but I always fight it with logic, right? So having said that, I'm gonna roughly draw a trend line where mostly represent, and don't worry, there's not an exact science to it. Just make sure that it feels right for you, right? But that it crosses major areas of bouncing action, right? So right here, look at this one, right? Right here, and right here. So just like this, I have a basic trend line, right? Which measures the trend. At this point, I can do two stuff. Either complete a trend measurement with thinking outside the box, which you'll see far ahead how everything lines up, or I can just basically go and explain you what the rest of the other trends are. So I'm going to be choosing for now cloning this trend. And I usually say, all right, you know what? I like to think outside the box. So what if I measure a bullish trend at the tops? Well, they kind of like match up, right? And what am I seeing or what am I looking for? I'm looking for the next bounce to feel short of the top of my trend line. That usually indicates me my first heads up that the trend is losing strength, all right? This could still be a fake out. What is my next setup? My next setup, I'm having a lower high. So for the trend to be broken, I first need to break my trend line, right? And second, create a lower high, all right? So what happens here? I bounce from it, right? And then I bounce again. I confirm that I'm within a bullish trend and my entry, it's right here. Don't worry, I'll refine on this one and get you going right away, all right? So uptrend, basically we have dissected this, right? Don't worry, we'll practice it every single day. So I promise you, you're gonna learn it. So the next thing that we have, it's going to be ranging because we have upwards movement, sideways movement, and downwards movement, talking about trends, right? So right here, I can define once again, what is my range like? Yes, I know I have fake outs, and this is where we're starting to see rounded tops, right? Broadened wedge, megaphones, right? So on and so forth. We're gonna be diving on those structures farther ahead. Don't worry about this. So at this point, I'm just applying the same thing that I applied before, right? I just set a line, right? A trend line, which when it's flat is called a support. Crossing over areas where I have bounced, right? And once again, I can draw another line from areas where I have bounced, right? I can even go maybe lower here to try to catch as many. So basically, that is a range. And what it defines a range? That we are correcting. A range is a correction over time, not over price action. Why? Because at the end of it all, we are keeping within the same zoning here, right? And we're not just going anywhere. Yes, slightly up, slightly down, slightly up, slightly down, right? And this is when most of the people get bored. Guys, this is what I make the most of my money, all right? This is why I love to see ranges. That's why I went and learned in depth Wyckoff, because I love ranging, Because once again, if I can define where I bounce and where I bounce, it doesn't matter if I get stopped out. If I just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, right? So you'll see that you're going to be making a lot of money while everybody else is just sleeping throughout the money printing machine, all right? And finally, we'll have bearish trend. What defines a bearish trend? Let's go for the bearish trend of them all, which was the previous bear cycle, right? A bearish trend, it is identified by lower highs, right? And lower lows in here. And then you can start measuring those highs and those lows. For example, how do you measure them? Measure them opposite of how you measure a bull trend. A bull trend is measured from the bottom. A bear trend is measured at the top, all right? Once again, when it feels right for you. Guys, this is when we start cooking with gas. We already know the basic structure, and this is what I tell most of the beginners. Guys, this is it. You could basically just throw everything else out the door, right? And start trading. Because now you know how the market behaves overall, roughly, right? Now you know how to measure your trend. And if you know where to measure a trend, how to measure a trend, the next step, it is where to take your trade. So easy peasy. The trade, it's broken when the trend line is broken. Guys, it's not about the breakout. It's about the retest, and off we go. Trade 1, retest, trade 2, and we're talking about that we are on the bear trend, guys, right? Well, let's even go to the 1 minute, and I'm going to be showing you how all of these basic concepts stick together and basically work all across the globe, right? From here, we can start adding, for example, our indicators to make it work for us, right? So we can just lazy around a little bit, right? Enjoy life, right? Spend time with our friends, families, kids, whatever, right? Your pets also. Or you can start learning also how to pinpoint entries and exits and then take better trades, right? It really doesn't matter. What matters is that you make money. Guys, I know there's a ton of people out there just telling you, you know, I did this, I did that, I did. Quit it, man, quit it. Stop listening at those that are bragging about it, right? Listen at those that show you how they do it, right? And also how they overcome their losses. Because let me give you another secret here that I learned while learning with Piper. Because despite I already was a profitable trader, something interesting that it really kind of like opened my eyes is when I met Piper, because he comes from another world that I really didn't understand much, right? And while he was going through his history of how he get started trading, right? And I, gave him a little bit of my own training. He went and took his own, right? That's how he came to be Piper. Well, then, most of our failures, if not all, were the same. Our success stories were different, right? So basically, what I'm trying to tell you guys, it is let's learn from what we all do wrong, because that is most likely where you are going to be doing wrong, right? And then let the success story come to you. So it'll manifest itself. Trust me, this is going to be glorious, all right? So now that we are right here, not about the breakout, it's about the retest, well, then that's when we start setting up our entries or adding our indicators. Let me clear this up and let's do some proof of concept in here, right? Remember, at this point, we know trends, we know support, and we know resistance. Let's now dive deep within, I don't know, let's do 5 minutes. Why not, right? Remember, we're going from the 4 hours to the daily, to the 5 minutes. So let's measure trends because that's what we know how to do. I see a trend in here, trend line, right? Or better yet, let's adjust a trend line like this. It's not about your breakout, right? It's about your retest. So how do you know where to retest? That's where we have our trend line, guys. That's where we have our trend lines. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. The rest of it all, at this point, guys, let it go, right? If you don't know how to do it, don't do it just yet until you learn, right? But so far, with what? 3 tools? We're up and running. We're cooking. We could be making money. And let me give you an example at the end here. Let's try to do it right here. All right. So we'll try to do it at the same time as the market is moving. So what do I see here? Low. Then what? Right on the side chat, guys. Let me know. Help me out here. Right? What are we having here? A perfect. Exactly. You guys got it. Higher low. Right? Then what we need to see for market structure, it is a what? Higher high. Now we know we're uptrending. This is the point when we draw our trend line. What do we need to draw a trend line? Our next pivot or bounce. We got it here. So from this point to this point, we have our trend line. Guys, next lesson. You long, not the tops, right? Who makes money longing the tops? Well, if you are around Alex or Crypto and I, you see that we do. But that is management, guys. That is risk management. So, but right now that we have a trend line, what do we expect? What do we wait for, right? Let's actually measure it the same way, for example, in here. So we're trying to long it, right, on a bullish trend. Let's do it. Let's find a bullish trend. There we go. Where do you take the long? Do you long here? Not really. You're looking for longing down here, right? Longing down here, longing down here, and here we're losing that trend. So you stop longing, right? Let's do it right here. Where do we long? You need to be patient. We long on the retracement. All right. Now that we know where to long, how do we take profits? This is where support and resistance manifest themselves again, and we're going to be trying to use the other section of range of trade, trends, which is ranging. Ranging, or throughout range, you can define a lot, guys. You can actually start predicting, right? Predicting your order blocks based on where ranges. So after a range, down range, when you start seeing that liquidity, that is an order block. I cannot tell you for sure that this is an order block, but I can start guessing based on literature that this is where order blocks tend to form, all right? Let me go ahead and use my tools. Why? Because, guys, we all should be working smarter, not harder, right? So if I have my Market Dynamics Pro, you don't need it to. I showed you how to figure out where order blocks are, but I can use my order block tool, enable my order blocks, right? Let's just give it a second and see if there is any order block somewhere around here. And yes, we have it. Something curious, it is that I would need to go farther down the range in here to see if these order blocks still have some liquidity. Because as we touch that order block, we grab liquidity from it, all right? Just so you know. Also, depending on how you enable your order blocks, you're gonna have more or less order blocks in here where to look at. Let me even go a little bit farther back just for proof of concept, all right? By the way, we gave this signal today in the Piper Academy. There we go, you see? A loud order block right after the ranging, right? On a big candle on the breakout. So now as we go ahead, right? Let's go 5x maybe. Grabbing liquidity, and you see how it disappeared? Why? Because people start getting afraid. So they cancel their orders, and they start reallocating it, all right? Let's just not make things complicated. At this point, I just want you guys to know how to start using support and resistances and order blocks, which again are support and resistances, right? So let's find an area where we can see bounces. I see a bounce, I see a bounce. This could be a bounce, I see a bounce, and I see some support. So I can maybe start drawing a line that goes through all of this, maybe adjusting it slightly, something like that, and I have my support. Why is this support important? Because if we fail this trend, we need to think about farther ahead, right? Guys, this is the next secret. If you have your notebooks, lesson number 3. You front run your trades. What do I mean with this? You forecast your analysis, right? It is not that I just open up the charts and I click buy and it just magically gets me a profit, right? No, I prepare ahead, just like chess, right? Just like any other strategy game, you know how this thing is moving. You know when the trend is ending, so you can front run where you're preparing to entry. Let me give you an example of this, right? Let's add one more support and one more resistance in here. So I see maybe support, bounce, or a little bit of a range in here, right? Look at this. So maybe you can start thinking that there's something going on in here, right? Not only that, look at that. If I go farther back, and that's why it's important to go farther back in time, right? Remember, it's not about seeing the chunky candles. It's just about seeing where the price action has been bouncing. So I can see that I'm in or within an area of resistance. Why? Because my area of resistance could go from here to there. And why is that? Because I'm trying to grab this low, this low, this low, this low, this peak, this low, this low, this high, right? So I'm trying to grab it because I know there is, remember, the market is perfectly imperfect. That is kind of like a support or resistance in here, right? And this varies depending on the sentiment. But overall, I'm on a resistance. All right, so we got it already figured out. So we are going to be longing at the candle, at the trend line retest, all right? And so far with what we know, we could be wrong. Until when or where am I wrong? Until my previous area of bounce or my previous support area, right? Let's even call it somewhere around here, all right? So I can set up my stop loss, give it a little wiggle room, and then I'm going to be aiming to the next important zone. What is more important than the trend? A micro trend could be, well, a little bit of less important, but still pretty important. So what is a micro trend? It is a trend within a trend. For example, we know this is a downtrend, right? Here it is. Touching this one, touching this one, touching this one, and I can even clone it, little tip, and then grab the rest of them all, and I have a zone, right? At this point, so about that. So at this point, remember what we talked about. It's not about the breakout, it's about your retest, your entry on the support zone, and off we go, right? So now what is this important? Because at this point, I'm looking for another micro trend. What is my other micro trend? Oh, maybe a range in here, right? So I can start throwing up, maybe, look at that, a support line right here, or maybe a support line right here, or maybe a support line right there. Depends on how your brain works. One is gonna make more sense than the other. Why? It's just like that question, like, do you go through time or time goes through you, right? So don't worry what it is, what feels right for you, place it as a support, as a resistance. Just make sure it is an area of high reaction, right? And previous supports becomes new resistance, right? And based on that, you're gonna be creating your zones. Zones are better than lines, just so you know. Just to keep the mess down, we do lines instead of zones because they tend to get messy very quickly. Ask me, that's why they call Mexican spaghetti my trading sessions, all right? So Now that we understand where did we long on the bear trend, where do we short on the bullish trend? We short on the bullish trend. Once we break the bullish trend, look at that, going for that support, you have a second chance to a very small short, sorry, it's very small long. And then it's not about your breakout, it's about your retest. Here is where you start aiming for a short position. Look at my zone, give it a little space, and aiming TP1 support, aiming TP2 trend line. Is this easy or what? Guys, give me one if this feels easy, or give me a two if this feels complicated. I think so far we've been just drawing, right? So nothing too complicated. Perfect, perfect. Reading you guys. Let me see if I can catch up with the chat here. And by the way, remember, give me a one or two so I can maybe dive in or dive in closer on those ones. So CryptoPollo, what's up, my friend? Who else we have here? CJ Nees, what is up? Oh, CryptoPollo, 5 Piper Academy memberships. Yo, thank you, my friend. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it, my friend. What else we have? It wasn't, what is, oh, in fact, you can see right here at the top how I'm scrolling through your messages. Crypto Chef, nothing at the moment being, all right. Hey, Crypto Chef, long time no see, my friend. Welcome. Uncle Jess, what is up? Who else we got in laws on crypto? Already send you highs and greetings, but still, again, hi, my friend. Uncle Jess, J Violet. Who else we have? Crypto Boy, of course, username Alexander G. Who else is visiting us right now? So Kelly, Scene, James, so Uncle. Perfect. All right. So we are basically simple and ready to go, right? And we are on the 5 minutes. Don't worry. Remember, we need confirmations, and on those confirmations, that's where we enter. Again, we already have this box of support. So this is where you can maybe granulate in a little bit more. How do you granulate in? All right, let me give you a B scenario. And by the way, guys, do what is easiest for you at this moment. All right, do what is the easiest for you at this moment. If we break, well, remember, we have resistance. Fine. On the resistance, we're expecting to bounce back down to where? To the support, right? Remember, previous resistance becomes new support. That is going to be our first possible entry. But also, since we have trend line here, we can expect a little bit of a drift down. So what do I do in this scenario? I go for the half position, right? I either do half of an entry or aim in between areas. So far, with what we have learned, this is how you handle that uncertainty between a support area of entry, right? So far, I believe that this is a good explanation. All right, let me clear this up, and let's get started with adding just basic stuff in here, right? Why? We want to have just a overall easy experience on trading. So this is where indicators come in place. For example, market oracle. Let me go to my 4 hours, right? Remember, the trend is my friend. So very quick, I'm going to explain you how do I get my best settings here. I do see where my brain catches uptrend, catches a range, catches a downtrend, again, a downtrend, and an uptrend. Perfect, that's it. Then what else do? I go into my settings on the market oracle and turn on my dynamic reactor, all right? That's going to be it. And just for now, let's do kind of highlights off and also trend mode disable. All right, that's going to be it for now. All right, now this is the point where, remember I told you at the beginning, it depends also on your time frame, where the most profitable. My brain sees easily those trends, right? Now, is my indicator showing the same that I'm seeing? Let's see. If I break above the 0 line, oh, look at that. Bounce from, bounce from, bounce from, bounce from, bounce from, and I remain green. All right. So this is a success. Well, let's explain something about your ranges. An uptrend, it is higher highs and higher lows, right? A downtrend, it is lower highs and lower lows. Technically, this is a downtrend, all right? But I think we can agree that this is this is also could be classified a slightly downwards range, right? And that is because you don't do significant and constant higher highs or lower highs, right? You do barely above the mark, right? And mostly follow the previous zone, right? That's what also defines a range. So at this point, how do I define a range? Again, not showing much. So breakthrough, 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 breakthrough. By the way, quick tip, your dynamic reactor can help you see and understand micro trends within a bigger trend. So I kid you not, look at that. If you would have breakout, retest, and long here, remember what we learned, right? It's not about your breakout, it's about the retest. So short position, it's not about the breakout, it's about your retest. You set your stop loss somewhere around the previous highs or lows, and depending where you could have placed it, you get either one stopped or you made a successful trade. For me, I usually go for somewhere around here, trying to catch this, oh, come on, this high in here. Maybe not all the way here, but trying to catch the next big area here, the secondary one. And then, as always, I add my wiggle room, right? And look at that, by adding that wiggle room, I got a support and resistance setup for an entry right at the breakout, right? From the support at the retest of the resistance, and off we go. TP number 1 at previous low, TP number 2 at the next resistance area, which was here, right? Or the next support area that was here. There we go. Or let's just say that you maybe got stopped out. Don't worry. Where is your next entry? Remember, as we talked about in the last 5 minutes chart, we're waiting for retrace on the support, the trend line, or in this case, dynamic reactor. Your next entry, it is right there. It's not about the breakout, it's about the retest. Give yourself a little bit of wiggle room, and off we go to next support. Next support, and then take profits, next support, take profits, next support, take profits, rinse and repeat, all right? So far, this is playing out very, very nicely. With the help of my dynamic reactor, I can trade micro trends and I can trade macro trends, right? So at this point, I am just killing it, right? So what else can I do? Well, I can do redundancy. What is redundancy? I can do my signal mode on trend. But by the way, this is not updated. We should be looking at trendy. Let me just re-add it here. I don't know what's going on. Market Oracle. Let's see the plus, just to make sure that I have the latest one. All right, perfect. And then on the latest one, there we go, we have trendy. This is the same as the trend mode sensitivity. What does it tell you? How big of a trend do I have? Remember, I turned on my dynamic reactor, and so far, I have my trendy turned off. All right, this is where we left. Let's just give it a second. There we go. So what now? And by the way, I should be having kind of highlights off. So what now? Well then, I want to pair my buy and sell signals with the trend, because that is what trend is telling me. Trend is a measure of trend, not a buy high, right? Sorry, not a buy low and sell high. It's not a top or bottom indicator. It's a trend indicator. Remember, where do your trend ends? Your trend ends where the trend line, it's broken. So my trend should be ending here. I should be having a sell signal somewhere around there. I can double check and confirm with my dynamic reactor. Look at that, right? So that's what I want. A measurement or a flag that tells me a buy here and a sell somewhere around here. And rinse and repeat, right? For me, I already know my settings. For me, it's 43. Feel free to check out yours, right? And then just for me to be able to see it better, I'm going to turn on kind of highlights, and I'm going to change it to trend static. Let's click OK. Let's give it a little second, and we'll see what that does. All right. So now let's zoom in here, and I see that I have a buy signal right here, where I was expecting a buy signal in here. Well, much better. A sell signal in here, so I still have a little bit of interference, right? And another sell signal in here. So I can work with this, or I can just turn it on. Something that is happening here, guys, is that I have autopilot. I need to turn on autopilot. That autopilot is gonna be adjusting to the number that I have. By the way, my autopilot was 31, very close to my 43. But now, look at that, I have a much cleaner setup, even earlier breakouts, right? So that's what I want. Look at that, as I break below, as I break above, as I break below, as I break above, as I break below, as I break above, so on and so forth. So just like that, we automated our entry points. So this is, guys, this is not a blindly enter and exit. Despite our indicator is a banger, I mean, we still need to rely on our brains, right? Because remember how we did it easy peasy, right? And we are building redundancy here. Why? There's gonna be a point in your life when you are into a trade, and that trade maybe goes the other way around, and you're feeling desperate, and then you go into the charts that you can't see the way out, right? This is to help you. This is to drop all of that anxiety, right? And see, all right, if I shorted here, let's see, short position. If I shorted maybe here because it went and I thought that it was going to be reversing, right? And I survived this here, well, then I can maybe start waiting for this trickle down here, right? When am I going to be getting worried? If I see, let me show it to you. If I start seeing, because I already know how this plays out, a breakout retest, right? I'm going to be worried if it breaks out and retesting here. But still, look at where did I open on my short. So now I know that I can close my short in here with minimum losses. You see that? Why? It's not that I know where the market's going to go, but I already know that breakout retest, it is a very powerful setup. I have redundancy on trends, and I know where the trend is starting, and I know that I should be longing breakout retest or shorting breakout retest, right? It's not about breakout, it's about your retest. So if I have breakout retest, I can cut my shorts on the lowest or closest point to breaking even, right? So, by the way, this is how we've managed on the classes, especially me, to buy tops and still make a profit out of them. So this is where I have had trades that reversed on me, and I still made a profit. Why? I analyze, am I wrong? Am I still right? Well, then what's going to be my next entry point? I can maybe just wait and hold a little bit more, and then I close it as soon as it's crossing back, right? And then I just make a little bit of a profit out of it, and then just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, all right? Harp, what is up, brother? Welcome. All right, so we're almost at the end of the session, so let's get it going with setting up a couple of possible trades right now that we have to launch. Guys, this is going to be one of the longest classes that we have on theory, all right? I just wanted to do that quick introduction so we all are in the same page, and also we can always come back to this class and start from scratch if we need to. Remember, always go back to basics when things start getting complicated. All right, so let's go. I already have a couple of them prep for you. So again, here we go. This is Ethereum. Let me clear up Ethereum. And what we got, we have a trend line, right? What happened to this trend line? We have broken the trend line, breakout, retest. But also, remember what we talked about, ranging, right? What's happening with that range? We're not going up when we are supposed to go up, and we're ranging. What's going to happen? Most likely, pull up and continuation as long as we are below our oscillator. We're going to dive into the oscillator later, but so far, I want you guys to notice that we have another trend line being built in here, all right? So I will not be trading this on the 4-hour. I will only be trading this on maybe on the 15 minutes where I can maybe make a profit on this itty bitty range. But so far, I'm just looking for breakout retest, right? What's going to be my next setup? Well, I'm still below the dynamic reactor, right? What I want to see is going up, dynamic reactor, right? Or my trend line being hit. And what other trend line? We have a peak. We have a peak in here. So look at that. We can still hit this other trend line and reject. So that's what I'm going to be looking for my short. Short at the top, buy at the bottom. All right. Let's go for Litecoin. We already have the same setup. I think that you right away understand it, right? After this class, look at that. What we got, trend line, breakout retest. Your first trade was basically successful. Back at entry at your support. Is this a long entry? In fact, it is. So not financial advice. We are one candle late. So let's try to do this. I'm not gonna be running after this long. In fact, we gave this entry on the Piper Academy, but I'm gonna be trying for possible a retracement week. All right. So next candle, if it retraces for any reason, right? As long as this candle is not all the way up here, right? I might be able to jump in and get out somewhere around here, right? Do not chase after the prices. Then, if this long is gone, what is up next? Remember what we learned. Lesson number 3, remember that? Lesson number 3 was forecasting your trading. So what is up next? Well, if I reject it, what am I looking for here? Rejection, right? So I'm going to be preparing for the short as the dynamic reactor comes in strong, and I'm only going to be jumping in for that short if I have rejection of the 0 line or of the top in here, all right? So far, that's the next possible entry for the short on the 4 hours on Litecoin. OM, let's just get rid of all of the noise. Let's stick with what we know so far, right? Let's even hide this. All right, I have a bullish trend, right? What can I do? I can draw, oh, there we go, my trend line in here, right? I already have my trend line. What can I see here? An entry between my dynamic reactor and my trend line. In fact, look at that. We already have that set up, crossing somewhere around 6.53, or for a fail swing, 6.30, all right? Then what else do we have? BNB. BNB, we are freaking ranging. Perfect. Let's measure that range. Look at that. What should I be doing here? Here, here, or here? I guess you know, right? What am I going to be doing here, 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 and here? I think you know, right? So far, so good. You see how easy trading gets started, right? Remember, this is not going to be 100% trading, all right? But absolutely it's going to pump up your numbers. Those are rookie numbers, and I bet you can pump them up. All right, basic support, basic resistance. Remember, this is what we're looking at this point, right? Market structure, either we're ranging up, ranging down, sorry, trending up, trending down, or ranging, right? You remember, breakout, retest. You can even trade these ranges, right? As we trade micro trends. It's not about the breakout. It's about your retest, bouncing off the resistance, and off you go, successful trade. So let's do the exact same thing here, right? Let's even cut the noise. We have a trend line, right? When are we longing? We're longing after breakout retest and off we go. But so far, we could keep going downwards, all right? Easy peasy. What else? Adam, all right. Adam's looking good. It's not about your breakout. What are we expecting? It's about your retest. We could be breaking the zero line, maybe going here and creating a higher low. Entry point, and off we go. There we go. In fact, I need to add an alert. There we go. All right, so we basically have covered from top to bottom how to start getting in trading, right? Remember, this is not supposed to be difficult. Is it built for us to lose? Us as retail? Yes, it is, but that's because we're sentimental. So here are the bases of how to trade with trend lines and support and resistance with a couple of concepts, right? This is gonna be back to basics video. Next chapter, we're gonna get started on how to set up our naked charts, basically how to clean them up, how to get them organized, and then how to get a little bit more in-depth in trading with our indicators. So don't miss the next episode, guys. Thank you so much for joining. And as always, see you guys tomorrow.